Good evening, Razorback fans. Welcome to the one, the only Hawg Talk podcast. Coming to you live from the Sterling Soap and Roastery Studios, part of the Believe and Buzz radio networks, where you can hear on all podcast platforms, as well as Buzz to 106.7 in Central Arkansas. So please like, rate, review. And all live broadcasts are brought to you by Arkansas Brewing Company in downtown Ozark, Arkansas, as well as Bet Online, which remains your number one source for all your sports betting this season. Bet Online features live betting, free contests, and live scores for almost any sport or game imaginable. So head on over to betonline.ag to join and receive your 50% welcome bonus with your first deposit. Make sure to use the promo code BELIEVE, BLEAV, to receive your rewards. Bet Online, where the game starts. And now we go to the Metters Lumber Hotline. We said this before. This is one of the most highly anticipated interviews we've had. Bri Ellis, recent transfer to Arkansas. Thank you so much for taking time away to this crazy past couple of weeks. So we really appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So we'll just back it up. June 6th, you decided that you would enter the portal. And then, of course, you gained a lot of attention about, standing up and having a voice. And, what I really want to start with is just the positive reaction to your voice and what it means to be able to enter the portal, what it means to have that chance. So just talk about, when you really realized, hey, this thing's gaining traction, and, then the fun begins of choosing your new school.
Yeah. I think it really all kind of started with, entering the portal. And I think everyone kind of had their own idea of the portal, and people started this kind of little narrative, I guess you could say, about making the portal sound like a bad thing and a negative thing. And, every story exists, but I'm thankful that the transfer portal is here because I can do other things. I can move on. I can, really get what I need out of a university and out of a program. And so I'm really grateful for it. I know a lot of other people, other girls my age, are really grateful for it. I've had a lot of, DMs on different social media of other players either in the portal or are out of softball, and but they use the portal, reaching out and saying thank you for standing up, thank you for saying something, like this is exactly how I feel. And I just never could say it, or whatever their story was. But it's the portal, everyone enters the portal for their own reasons, and the bad thing about that is, and why people can't just be so transparent on social media, is because most of these stories are very sad and traumatic and life changing and just vulnerable, and so it's not the easiest thing to just put out there for everyone and their mom to see, because everyone can just get the wrong idea, twist words. It's so easy for all that stuff to happen. And so um I just really wish other people and other ex softball players or still softball players or family members, I wish they would, be happy that we, made this decision, that we're taking this initiative on our life, that we have the opportunity to do something like this and really just make a change. And I think it has gained a lot of traction. And I think a lot of that honestly does come from some of the bigger schools, and the rumors, and people like to say, oh, they're just transferring to go to a huge school and win a championship. That's I mean, people just make up their own stories. And so I like to, since I am on the side of going through the process and seeing the good and bad from it, and I've come out the other side alive, it's honestly a blessing to us. It's a great thing, a great outlet, I guess you could say, to have in sports, and whether people are using it for good or bad, it's really nobody's business, and it's not their right to know, honestly. And if you share, you share, but some people are crazy,
Yeah. Oh yeah, and you don't even know. Like we were talking today. People with faceless accounts are sitting there calling you soft, and then you fire back with the charm. It's things like that. They're expecting to get under your skin when it doesn't. And it's funny. The biggest narrative, and this is any sport with this portal, is the team you leave. It's like Judas. And the team that you go to, it's like we're welcoming you with open arms. And so, what I want to transition into is, so you announce that you're into the portal, and of course you have schools and you get wined and dined, so what separated Arkansas from, of course, like I said, they wine and dine you, but what separated Arkansas from the rest of made you feel like this is where I want to go? I know you had said previously that your freshman year that you wanted to come to Arkansas and play for Coach Stifle, but in the process, what separated Arkansas from the rest of, like, okay, this is genuine, this is where I want to go play, and I'm ready to have fun with these girls?
Yeah. When I was kind of like thinking earlier of what I was going to say, I remember this story about Coach Stifle that kind of elaborates on, the respect she has for her players. And it was a specific instance that I vividly remember, was 2 seasons ago. They were in super regionals and they had just won the SEC regular season championship and the tournament championship. And everyone just had really, really high expectations of them. Um, and a lot of people were like shocked they, lost to Texas and didn't make it to the World Series. And that team was insane. I would know because I was on the other side of them. But that team was crazy, talented, experienced, all of the above. So, what really stuck out to me was they showed it on TV. Was after the last pitch, after they lost, she went out in the field and she hugged, she embraced her girls, her athletes, and they were crying on her shoulder. And it's just like that's love. I mean, they just really had their heart broken right there. They were set out on something that few can accomplish, and everyone kind of thought they had it made. And for things to just, I mean, whatever it was that happened, fall apart at the last second, it sucks. And instead of breaking a clipboard, throwing a hat, throwing a helmet, stomping off, she went out there and said it's okay. Like, we can come back. It's not the end of the world. And it's that was just really huge to me. So that was just a little example that I really like about Coach Stifle. Other than that, I mean, Arkansas was amazing. On my visit, I had my family and I had so much fun, with the coaches and everything. And um, actually, when we went on like an actual campus tour because I had played at Arkansas 2 different times already, the SEC tournament and the series. And but we just go from hotel to field, hotel to field, so we didn't really get to see anything. So I had like kind of already this pretty set in stone vision of Arkansas in my head going in, like, oh yeah, I know, like we've been here, I know what to expect. I was totally blown away, like off my feet. That's not even an exaggeration. Um, my favorite part of the whole campus tour was I'm not really familiar with the campus, so I don't know what everything's called, but it's like the main area, the really nice buildings, whatever that's called, it like looks like you're in a museum district. Like it reminds you of walking through downtown Houston in the museum district. The buildings were so cool. We didn't really, get the chance to see that many people because it was raining and it was summer. But lots of cool restaurants, cool things to do. Every single athletic facility is tip top shape, up to date. That was crazy cool to me. I had never really seen that where like everything is that like up to date. But what really set it apart at the end of the day is they have a vision, they have a mission, they're clear on what they want to accomplish, and they also have a plan. So they're not just going to say, "Hey, we're going to go to the World Series and we're going to make you an All American." They have a plan, and they've let me know the plan of how exactly we're going to do this, and I have full confidence that it's going to happen. And so that's really nice, when you're trying to decide between schools and crossing some off the list. Like, it was just, I mean, I couldn't say no. Like, it was just too hard to let go of something this great, so I had to take it.
And the caveat is the first person I believe that she went up and hugged was Taylor Ellis, who played for Texas.
Yes.
And I still, when you're talking about that, I get chills thinking about watching that post game press conference and just you talking about somebody who was just broken. And after that moment, and I still remember it to this day, she was the same way after regionals this year. And just because she loves those kids so much, but she knows this team is close and adding a player like you, but also, seeing what other transfer players who've come into Arkansas and just become better players and better people, I'm sure that had a lot to do with, choosing Arkansas because you're like, I can go here and number one, be drafted like Shanice and look at, what KB's done, Danielle Gibson, what she's done, and be one of those next players that come in and make a difference at Arkansas, but yet make a difference in yourself as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely reached out to some of those people, and some of them reached out to me, and just had nothing but amazing things to say about the program and Coach Scheifel, and just, welcomed with open arms, accepted. They won't try and change you. They'll instead just make who you are better, if that makes sense. They're not going to change you. They're going to build you up. Um, and also knowing all of the, great people that went through, it's of course, um, really, like, gives you a lot of confidence going in. But at the same time, I mean, it's like what we talked about before. It's like people go into the portal for a reason. So all those girls had a reason, and yeah, they came out the other end insane athletes, crazy good softball players, awards, titles, all this stuff. But they were able to do that because they bettered themselves as people. And I mean, you can't perform unless you're 100% there in the head. And that comes from all aspects: your social life, your school, your softball, what you do outside of your planned day. It's just all so important, and so like goes into each person's success. So, I mean, it's so evident, especially to me being on the other side, to see the positive impact that this program has had on these players, and how being in the right place for them helped them to be the successful athlete that they are today.
And when you chose Arkansas, one is two-part question. One, and how long did you have to sit on that information of like, okay, we're going to make the official announcement? How like cool was that to really sit on that? But then when you announced, was you expecting the type of welcome, the outpouring? Like you really got your first glimpse of Arkansas fan base without you even having to ask, okay, hey, where's the fans at? I mean, they just flooded you with open arms. So what was your response leading up to it? And then, of course, the fans' reaction to you announcing.
Yeah, so it's kind of a funny story because I made the decision. I chose a school, and I think maybe 5 minutes later, I posted it on Twitter with no caption. It was like 10 o'clock at night or something, and so I FaceTimed Coach Steifel, and her boys were there, and they were screaming and dancing. It was so much fun, and I posted it, and I mean, I was not expecting, that many interactions, I guess you could say. But it was really awesome. I got so much love from Arkansas fans, and I was also told going into this that our University of Arkansas is the Arkansas sports team.
Yes.
You know, like there's no professional or like many other universities like that in Arkansas. So it's definitely evident, and I've got so many nice DMs and on all social media, and just nothing but nice things from these people. And some of them have even started to come have my back on some of this stuff, and I think that's funny. But oh, I really appreciate it, and I think it's so awesome how much love I've gotten from them.
And how long did it take you to sift and try to respond the best you could to all that, and just really kind of take a step back and just soak it in, like this is going to be even better than what I thought going to this? Because I'm sure you've seen the fans in the berm and the full berm, but when it hits you personally, I'm sure it rings differently when they're actually congratulating you opposed to they're cheering for the team you're playing
Oh
against.
yeah. It's gonna be so much better hearing them call the Hogs for me and not for someone else who hits a home run, because it can get pretty old when they hit, I don't know, 14 home runs in a game, and it's just everyone's standing up and it was funny. But I that's so awesome. That's definitely motivation and something to look forward to.
And there was also another addition to the coaching staff that we can officially talk to about now. And just, what was your thoughts about that when they mentioned, I mean, of course, playing softball, Gasso just named just rings, and you're like, okay, DJ coming to Arkansas and being a hitting coach. I mean, seeing what he did at Utah. I mean, I know that just had to really make things just put icing on the cake for your decision to come to Arkansas.
Yeah, absolutely. It was funny because I've had like a few conversations with him, and I'll like tell my mom about it, and I'll say, "Yeah, I'm on the phone with Coach Gasso or something," and it's like, I can't believe I'm saying that. Like I'm on the phone with a Gasso. It's like they're softball royalty. But I am so excited. We've talked one on one once so far on the phone, and I really, really loved what he had to say. And um, he knows what he's doing, plain and simple. He knows what he's doing, and he showed it. He took Utah to the World Series. I mean, um, I'm gonna be honest. I didn't really know much about the program before he got there, but I do know that they were in the World Series this past year, and I was not. So that says a lot about him. That's huge. But I'm so excited to work with the big guns, I guess you could say, especially hitting. I love hitting. I love working. I'm so excited to start with him whenever I can and get this thing rolling.
Yeah, and moving on to, we're talking about, and I want to go back to, women's college basketball this year and just the excitement that was with the postseason, and of course with LSU and Iowa. Then you fast forward into the Women's College World Series and OU and their dominance, and just the excitement. And we talked before recording. I know you've gotten a lot of negative attention about, you coming to Arkansas and the Charmin stuff, but I look at both sides of it. Being somebody who's covered and followed women's sports since the mid 90s, it's like, yes, I hate that you're getting the negative comments, but on the flip side, it's so cool that people are actually paying attention to the offseason of women's college softball, which 5, 6, 7 years ago would have never been an issue. That would have been an afterthought. So, I mean,
Yeah.
also, again, yes, you took a lot of heat, negativity, but do you kind of flip it around and be like, you know what, this is cool that they're actually paying attention to us? And of course, these portal, like you get to have your recruitment all over again. And it's like you're 18 again and
Yeah.
coming out of freshman and out of high school.
Yeah. Um, in this house, we say all publicity is good publicity. So even if they're trashing my name, they're still talking about my name and they're still putting it out there. So I mean, however it comes, it's coming. But it definitely, I mean, I think it's cool, honestly, how much attention this has gotten. I mean, I could post something super stupid, like a picture of like a selfie of me and my dog, and it would get like 20K interactions or whatever it is on Twitter. Like, it's weird that, not weird, but it's like surprising, I guess is the word to me, that people it it reaches this many people. So I think it is huge for women's sports. And I mean, the same thing happened to let me preface this. I'm not comparing myself to Angel Reese or Caitlin Clark, but they also did get a lot of negative attention for being themselves, expressing themselves, having a fiery attitude, and being great players. So, I mean, that's just, I guess, how it works. But
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing, you talk about and when we got introduced to you, we also got introduced to your sister, aka the fan club. How cool was that being able to experience that? And what even was she expecting the love that she got in the interaction and the following that, they were just as much excited to interact with her as they were with you. And how much did she enjoy that?
she I'm sure she loved it. I mean, even she's catching some of the negative stuff too. I think that's hilarious. Um, but her Twitter page is hilarious. It's Bri Ellis fan club is what she calls it, which is so funny. Um, but she said she was not expecting this kind of attention, and um, I mean, she made a lot of friends at like on Twitter for from Auburn, and both her and I did make a lot of friends. And so, um, like when I left, it kind of sucked because she had to leave too. Like she built her own thing in a fan page, but she did. She's sitting right across from me. Sorry, she's laughing at me.
I,
But
I, I knew I told you to bring the fan club with you. I mean, I put it out there. So, we have to say, bring the fan club with you tonight. So,
yeah. Um, but yeah, it's the whole thing is hilarious, and every time I look at her, she's moving her thumbs really fast, typing something. She's doing it right now. She's probably live tweeting. Oh, I'm
yeah.
kidding. In a
We'll
game.
talk about, and that's where I kind of want to go with it is, you being a portal player and you've been in the game a long time. Talk about the difference of just what you've noticed in women's sports in general from the time you stepped on, at Auburn to where you're at with Arkansas, just the popularity overall. We've come well, it's like we talked earlier, we've come a long ways, but yet we still got some work to do when it comes to bringing more awareness to the women's game. But I have to say the excitement of the women's basketball and of course how softball is. I mean, it's really ramped up, the popularity of the women's game.
Yeah. The views are, I don't know the exact math, but a lot larger than they were the past few years. I think the Auburn Alabama game 3 this past year, softball, had like I don't want to say the wrong thing, but it had a lot of views, and it was like more than whatever baseball game was going on at the time. I don't exactly know, but there was the amount of views, and I was like, oh, I was in that game. That's crazy. And after I got off the field, I had like 500 Instagram followers after just playing a softball game. So I was like, oh, I guess this one was on ESPN or whatever it was. But it's really cool. The amount of attention it's gained, and whether it be good or bad, people are still talking about softball. And at the end of the day, people just love it. I mean, I see people commenting all the time about they weren't fans, but then were surprised about how much they loved it after like watching it this year, whether it be the Jordy Ball story or whatever it was. They really do love it. And the people who say it's dumb and don't like it have probably never even watched a game before and don't know what they're talking about. So it's like people definitely love it. And when that happens, more people watch it, and it grows and grows and grows. And one day it'll be up there with the rest of them. But we definitely do still have work to do for sure.
Yeah, and talking about the Jordy Ball situation, we won't deep dive into it. Just
Yeah.
a point I wanted to make is, softball is one of those sports, and I mean, even a lot of the women's sports. There's not with the WNBA, softball, whatever sport there is. There's not a big pro movement that these girls can look forward to going after college. So we are seeing an influx of Hey, I want to spend my last year playing at home. I want to spend my last year playing in front of my home state. And how much do you think that does put into these decisions of, look, there's not that after softball, yeah, you can go play in the Pride or go play in the Athletes Unlimited, but for the most part, there's not much less other than a career or your personal life. So how much of that do you think plays into that effect of playing close to home or going and making the most out of your last year of your softball?
Yeah. I think it's huge. That was at the end of the day a huge thing for me as well, and I'm glad you brought that up because I have tried explaining that to people, but I mean, this is all we got. This is all I have. Um, I could play a few years in professional leagues, but I mean, I don't exactly know how much they make, but I think you're going to have a job on the side or something like that. And then internships and actually getting started with your career, it's just a really, really weird situation. And it's so up in the air. And it's really, really, it's kind of confusing for me. But I love I love what we have. We have the Athletes Unlimited. We have the actual league started by Lauren Chamberlain. Um, but also at the end of the day, it's not the end all be all. Like I can't say I'm going to the league. Like
Yeah.
I can't say, yeah, I'm skipping class. I don't have to go to class. I'm going to the league. No, I need to get my degree, at least one, if I want to, make it somewhere in life. But so I don't really get another chance to go to the World Series, to go to any kind of championship, something like this is it. I got 2 years left, and I don't want to waste it by going in circles in the same direction as I started. I want to change it up and actually make a move towards the goals that I have and what I want to do.
And another topic that we haven't really even touched on is just what it means to have the NIL brought into the women's game and college sports in general, and how much that has affected kids that they actually get something, whether it's a little bit or a lot, but now they're actually getting something because everybody can sit on the sidelines and say that these kids don't deserve money or they don't deserve this, but hardly any of them has ever stepped foot in a D1 or any kind of collegiate atmosphere as an athlete and realized the dedication of that's a job
Yeah.
there, and you can't have a job.
Yeah.
So, talk about, a little bit of, what that's meant for softballers, women's athletes, that they are able to have an opportunity to benefit from something like NIL.
Yeah. I think it's huge for all sports, of course, but specifically sports like softball, where I don't know the exact number. I think it's like we only get 12 full scholarships per team. That could be wrong, but it's like a limited number of full ride scholarships. So, I mean, basically nobody has a full ride scholarship. Like that doesn't exist in softball. Now, if you have good grades, you can fill the rest of it up with academic money, but that's not always promised. So with NIL, it can kind of, pay the rest of the way of what people need, depending on, how much they get. But I think it's huge personally because it gives us something to work for, like you get offered a scholarship when you're 13 years old, you accept it, you sign the papers, whatever, and it's just a set amount of money. It's great, don't get me wrong, but now with this huge new shiny flashy things coming along,
Yeah.
um it's like, wow, I want to start reaching out to these people. Um I want to get experience. I want to make money using my name. And I figured this out when I was taking one of my classes at Auburn, and it was like one of the things was we had to make our resume, and we had to follow a template, and it was like past work experience. And I went up to my teacher and I was like, I don't have any past work experience. Like this is my job. Like I don't have time to go out and be a waitress and serve people. I don't have time to do that. And then she brought to my attention, well, have you done any deals with anyone? I was like, that's huge.
Yeah.
So that's also something athletes can bring to the table is previous experience with these actual companies, and some of them are really big, and it's a big deal. And that's respectable in the workforce rather than just saying, yeah, I don't have time. Like I never had a job because it's true, I didn't. So
We'll wrap it up with this. We'll leave with this comment. What do you see your role at Arkansas? What do we expect to see from Bri Ellis, and how many Bri bombs should we kind of count on to see, next year at Bogle Park?
um I would say my role, I want to start it off. I want to go in there and I want to be everyone's biggest fan. I want to make relationships with each of these girls, my coaches, and create, that bond, because it's crazy how really important that is for success as a team is each individual bond. And we're together all the time. So that's really huge. Is being able to know how to talk to each individual player, how to approach them when you have bad news, when you have good news, stuff like that. It's kind of cheesy, but it is my goal and it's my job to be a great teammate, not just a good one, a great teammate. And because there are hard times, there are really hard times, whether it be on the field or off the field, and we have to be there for each other. So that is going to be my first goal at Arkansas. But outside of the teammate stuff, my goal would be to be a leader on the field and have a presence, but also at the same time kind of make it fun. I like to have fun when I play. I feel like usually the people I'm around when we play better, when we're having fun and we're loose and we're going with the flow and everything. So I like to make it fun, but also when it's time to be serious, it's time to be serious and gear up and go. And then I would say probably my biggest job would be to drive in runs, whether it be a double or a home run. That at the end of the day is my job, and that's what coaches want from me, is to drive in runs.
Well, Bri, it's been an amazing interview conversation. Wish you the best. For me personally, thank you for standing up and not being afraid to put your voice out there, to put yourself out there. I think that's another thing that's unsung when it comes to this is you are putting yourself out there and taking all the arrows and the bullets, but you're doing it for every softball, every female athlete. So thank you from us here. And we cannot wait to see you at Arkansas and hitting a bunch of Bri Bogle bombs.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me. It was awesome.
You're welcome. Well, that will do it for this episode of the Hawg Talk podcast. We will catch you again next week. At every evening, we're going to try for more live shows during the week. 7:00 will be the game time on that, but we will catch you next week.